Good afternoon, everyone. Let's try to go over an easier way of what I wrote on both versions, including on what I created a good way of fabulous creation of a fabulous creation. Hope I didn't say unfabulous like that cool sitcom that was starring Emma Roberts, but anyway, cut to the chase. Anyway, today you may know that I look cool in this solid California crew neck and this cap since you haven't seen me in a while, but I have worn this appearance. But cut to the chase, I like cars, solid California, and yes, it's worth getting a permit requirement to licensing privilege, and including from PDL, provisional driver's license. When you first get your license, this is how every state should have a provisional policy on driving. And I also want the military, we need the military police or any federal law to do this somehow. And we also need, since they already changed the law from smoking and vaping to like 21, same as alcohol, but that's the worst step. You don't want to do either, but because it can burn you, get you drunk, cause you to like foolish, clumsy fool and all that. Yeah. Anyway, while we cut to the chase, this is what it's going to be about. I'm going to show how to drive two transmissions that probably used to always be available or mostly available on most makes and models, except maybe certain sports cars like maybe the Lamborghini Murcielago or the Dodge SRT Viper. Yeah, those are cool, but yeah, anyway, today, here's what the real deal will be. And I'll show you in just a second. All right, let's get started. Anyway, here's the real deal. Sorry, I was daydreaming on something else, but the same thing. Anyway, about that daydreaming. Anyway, yes, you can see it will have a safe street sign below these traffic lights. How awesome. So here's the real deal of this. We're going to start learning to drive an automatic and a manual transmission. And almost the same rules apply to a column shift to a stick shift when it comes to manual. Just like when automatic, sometimes when they're stick mounted, like if you have a center console or a steering column mounted gear selector. And now a lot of cars are just becoming a smart shift for people to learn to drive a manual anyway. And automatic. I mean, because it's probably easier in bumper-to-bumper traffic that way. And most of the smart shift, semi-automated, automated, and manual, well, those are called also sequential transmissions because of their smart shift design. But I'm not going to teach us how to drive smart shift, okay? Just the basic automatic versus manual, how to drive. Transmission types for beginners. This is getting a little hard to see, so why don't I just, Hang on, sorry, I got I don't think this set of prongs is stationary, but bear with me while I do this. I might surprise you, hang on. How do you guys like this? Perfect, okay. So anyway, yes, like I said, again, like I said, I had this Safe Street sign under the traffic light on these, so that's kind of cool. So anyway, here it is. How to drive an automatic transmission for beginners. Number 1, fasten your seatbelt. Buckle up. It's the law. 2, apply standard brakes. Means depress the brake, start the engine, and while your foot is still on the brake, release the park brake, and then shift the transmission into D for drive. Number 6, and this is the final. It might be a little more complicated than this one, but gas up to accelerate. Now here's the manual transmission. How to drive a manual transmission for beginners, and also, more importantly, keep in mind gear selections by this transmission type may vary, especially reverse. Okay, here it goes. Number 1, step 1, fasten seatbelt, buckle up. 2, press clutch for this manual transmission. Always do the clutch down, left foot. Transmission, both stick and column, must start in neutral to start the engine and stopping distance far enough at any point. Number 4, drive in numerical order. Forward, high numbers adds, and low subtracts speed. So when you subtract your speed, you're decelerating, or increasing. Increasing is adding it and reminusing it, and then you have to subtract or decrease the speed to go down. So when you decrease the speed, it will level down, and then the RPM will drop. So, yep. So what that means is also keep your RPMs between 3,000 to 5,000 or so. And then 5th, yep. And use the standard brakes. That means you should downshift to do. So shift to stop down at neutral. Yes, and use the standard brakes. And any transmission, I might have forgotten to mention the earlier part of this video, but neutral, and then how this happens is, and it's a little more complicated than that, but mistake. Okay. And then number 6. Now let's go. Now that you may know what to do, well, guys, I'll let you know some common mistakes people make in automatic and manual transmissions all the time. That people make these all the time. Starting with manual, with Firsten, they try to go to learn to drive manual. They give way too much gas at till it's full throttle. And don't let off the clutch fast enough. And your RPMs could spike potentially up to probably 10,000 RPMs, which 10,000 divided by... If 10 by 1,000 is... If 10 multiplied by 1,000, which is 10 by 1,000 RPMs, like these crazy NASCAR cars have to get at the highest speed because they have to push the engine to the limits. But to start, they have to give like a little bit of throttle. So yeah. So when people, anyway, at any point, learn to drive manual, yes, they give way too much gas till it's full throttle. And yes, they don't let off the clutch or release it fast enough. And your RPMs will spike that high too. Yes, they will. That'll over rev it. And when you over rev your engine, you kind of like do something weird. And what happens at that point, over revving an engine is like in drag racing when you shift up or down way too late at the RPM above the red line. So when you do motorsports like that or any formation racing, yes, push your car's limits on the track. Only on the track because it's underground from the open road and from the police. And then, yes, you got it. They'll catch you doing that on the street. So don't do that, guys. Okay? Excessive speed is what caused street racing and probably a lot of dumb stuff from the American Mafia when NASCAR started becoming a thing. But that's a dark formation of history. I'll think about that lesson later. Anyway, this lesson will say that is yes, and then also, if you're in gear at any point, at any stop, traffic light, bus stop, stop sign, rail yard crossing, don't leave the car in any forward or reverse gear then, because eventually you'll end up taking the clutch too early, and that your clutch dies and goes shot, which means it goes bad. So that means it's basically shot down completely. Like, it's all damaged, but yeah. Then you have to get a new transmission and all that crazy upgrades. And new transmissions are like $2,000 or so. They're usually like $2,000 to $4,000. New engines are $4,000. New engine computers, apparently according to stock repair bills, especially if you're getting a stock car. So stock repair bills does these mistakes people. It's related to kind of a lot of mistakes people might make all the time. Yeah, that may be true, but if that might be true, then this could be it. But yes. Anyway. Yeah, and if it's in gear at any point, it'll stall at a traffic light and then it's going to shut your engine down. It's going to lock it. It's going to lock the motor if you don't catch up enough. And then you have to start again and all that crazy stuff. So try to reduce showing this common mistake method versus how to do it right. So show what to do, then show all these. And now that we're going to do the automatic transmission, yes, there are so many mistakes probably people do in automatic. And try to grab the parking brake possibly when the transmission is in neutral. If the automated transmission is in neutral, try releasing or yanking the park brake to apply it. And also more importantly, about anything about stopping distance, including automatic and manuals, remember, in an emergency, you can definitely try this method according to this that19.com related YouTube video. Yes, VAT19.com. That one, yeah. VAT19.com. Yep, 19. VAT19. Anyway, yes, they do things about rules of the road as well. And they are known for their award-winning DVDs and curiously awesome products at VAT19.com. Anyway, more to come back there to hear is other things people do in automated transmissions, as I probably forgot to mention earlier, besides, they don't use neutral, and that's probably why of what I said earlier about this transmission, like the park brake, handbrake. Yes, only use the parking brake in any transmission formation. Any format of your transmission, whether it's automatic or manual or sequential smart. If it's smart sequential or smart shift, please, just don't do too many of these mistakes. But any of these mistakes of any of these transmissions, we'll combine this trip here, but you get the picture. If you or any of us, at some point then, yes, please always try to activate the parking brake if you can while your right foot, same as every transmission, automatic, manual, sequential, always the same, use your right foot to accelerate and or brake. Don't use your left foot to brake, even when at times you shouldn't palm the steering wheel because you have to concentrate. And normally you have to look out the rear window, the side view mirrors, rear view mirrors, so on. And yeah, and so on. Well, it could be fun, but if you do this at any point, you have to, yes, always use your right foot to accelerate or brake every time you drive, regardless of the transmission. And reason it doesn't matter much in this case because, well, it's pretty much the same thing. It's relatively the same idea. And other than that, if you use your foot to accelerate, I'll probably show you this early foot method in case you didn't know. I'll sit on my chair real quick and then I'll show you the rest. Hang on. Okay, guys. You gotta know the foot method at all costs. Right is... I'm just using my feet like a diagram so you know. In this diaphragm here, use right foot to accelerate and or brake. In every transmission, even if you have a 1-speed transmission in these Tesla vehicles that are just like, you know, commonly HOV in a lot of states. In Maryland, DOT, Department of Transportation, already also does that still. But if you're driving a manual, put your left on the clutch. And like compared to any of these cars, compared to the Tesla or any cool cars that are probably registered on these states, well, the thing is, these are they're insanely recognizable cars. They probably have weird, unmistakable shape, but people recognize it so much, you know? So every time you do that, always use your left foot only on a headrest. And if you have a manual or exposed clutch, instead of a hidden hideaway automated, if you have a manual clutch instead of the automated one, and it's like literally exposed at the floor, only use your left foot on the clutch. This is the pivot point I've seen in videos. Oh. And if you have 2 hands or so, you might be able to do column, shift, or stick. But, I mean, I'm probably going to learn to drive column a lot later, I'm sure. I mean, maybe I'll get a cool Rolls-Royce Corniche or something. I mean, they're kind of a dream Rolls-Royce, but that's probably my oldest one. Other ones are like probably the later versions of the Ghost or the Wraith. They're cool, the Rolls-Royce, but the Rolls-Royce Wraith, the Rolls-Royce Ghost are so cool too, yeah. Anyway, about these dream ideas, so this is going to be a car-related idea about driving a lot of things in different ways. Now, so I'm going to try to prepare this as much as I can. So, for the DOT, the Maryland DOT, always remember, just pivot your foot like a lever if you can. That seems to be the trick as well. So pivot, and then brake when you have your gear selector, whether you have sorry to say I'm using my left hand. I'm normally a right-handed guy, but this is the case, kind of. So anytime you use, like, if your car is a right-hand drive or a left-hand drive, my father may have told me this before, and he said, and then when Dad told me that, but it was something about, So, regardless if you have a column or a stick manual, try to always think of it like the H pattern. Like I said, gear selectors may vary, especially for reverse. See that? It's pretty simple, straightforward. They also say in clutching with a manual, you should do double clutching. It should something look like, kind of like this. Yeah, like that. And then when you go to neutral, you'll get to neutral through easily, so yeah. And anyway,